Good morning. Today, I'm going to share my analysis for next week, on my 8 favorite financial exchanges, on weekly and daily charts. Trend and directionality are bullish. The price continued to rise, making a new high period even though the movement was not particularly large. There are no particular observations to make on the daily chart, which is quite clear. During the next week, I will evaluate any bullish signs. An interesting pattern could be the price bounce on the daily level, or the daily EMA 20, followed by a nice bullish candle. Trend and directionality are bullish. The movement was slightly larger than that made by AUDJPY. On the daily chart, we can see that the MACD oscillator averages are lower than the previous high. This means that if the price were to create a new high in a short time, a bearish divergence would form. The price failed to create a new period high, and therefore, has a theoretically higher growth margin, even if there is a risk that it will be rejected by the higher weekly level. During the next week, I will evaluate any bullish signs. An interesting pattern could be the price bounce on the daily EMA 20, followed by a nice bullish candle. Both the trend and directionality are bullish. After bouncing off the median weekly level, the price has started to rise again, confirming that the bullish direction is still the dominant one. This does not, however, exclude the possibility that the retracement continues. On the daily chart, we can see that the price has rebounded on the EMA 100, and at the moment it seems willing to return to the highs of the period. As mentioned, there is still the possibility that this trade will decide to continue the retracement phase. However, for now, the signs are bullish. Therefore, I will be looking at any bullish signs during the week. An interesting pattern could be the price bounce off the daily level, followed by a nice bullish candle. Both the trend and directionality are bullish. After several weeks of undecided candles, the price seems to have started to move well again. The weekly candle is not particularly large, but it is still a good start. On the daily chart, we can see the formation of a new bearish divergence, as the price made a new high, while once again, the MACD oscillator did not. The directionality is bullish, and there are no particular signs that could state the opposite. However, I recommend to operate with caution on this exchange. Indeed, the bullish movement is in an advanced stage, and this week's could be the final impetus before the price begins to retrace, following the lead of EUR/USD. During the next week, I will not evaluate signals on this trade, at least not on the daily time frame. Both the trend and directionality are bullish. During the previous week, the movement was similar to that of the last few months, therefore extremely limited. The price is in a lateral phase, which can be seen even better on the daily chart. The high period is not far off, so, if a bit of volatility returns, this trade could try to overcome it. During the next week, I will evaluate any bullish signs. An interesting pattern could be the price rebound on the daily level, followed by a candle, able to break the high of the last few weeks. Trend and directionality are bearish. During the previous week, the price started to fall again, although it stopped at the lower weekly level, which is the most difficult level to overcome. On the daily chart, the interesting bullish divergence present on the MACD oscillator continues to be valid, which for now, has only generated a small retracement. The price is now close to the low for the period, so it could be reached this coming week. During the week, I will be evaluating any bearish signals. An interesting pattern could be a candle able to break the daily level, since the rebound on the daily EMA 20 has already occurred. I recommend to work with caution on this exchange. The last few weeks have shown some signs of laterality. Trend and directionality are bearish. As is often happens, this trade has moved in a very similar way to EUR/USD, although, obviously, on the contrary being inversely correlated. The price has undergone a retracement during the last few weeks, stopped by the median weekly level, then, resuming directionality during the week just ended. On the daily chart, we can see that the bullish divergence reported in the past few weeks may have outlived its function, although I would not give it for sure. The price has bounced off the daily EMA 100, which is always a good target for retracements. During the next week, I will evaluate any bearish signals. An interesting pattern could be a candle able to break out the lows of the last few weeks. I recommend to operate with caution, since the retracement phase that broke the laterality may not have exhausted its strength yet. Trend and directionality are bearish. During the previous week, the price fell again. Looking at the weekly chart, it is clear that this trade has not yet exhausted the bearish force, which occasionally slows down, and then resumes. On the daily chart, as always, the numerous divergences on the MACD oscillator are clearly visible. As always, I will only evaluate any trades on the lower timeframes, especially on the 4-hour chart. Thank you, and see the next week.